This is our 1979 Dodge Sportsman Camper by Rockwell. I'm going to be doing some videos on this over the next little while, but this morning I wanted to show you about one particular problem, which is the back bumper. This summer we took a long trip to the Colorado Rocky Mountains and did some, well, I guess you could call it off-roading. And I think this bumper was a little sideways on here before, but now it definitely is. And in this video I'm going to show you what I did to fix it. If you look underneath the camper here, there are basically two beams that extend back to support the back end of the camper. On this particular camper, the left beam is a little bit messed up. And so this beam extends out underneath the back end of the camper, and right here that weld broke loose. If you look in there, you can just kind of see it. There's a space up here where it should be solid and tight, and this whole beam is sagging down here, and essentially the other one over there is holding it up. And we've been driving it like this for a while, but I need to not do that anymore, and I need to get this thing. So to get this reattached, I got to do some serious welding on this thing. But before we do that, we have to take this large item off, which is of course the gas tank. This gas tank is attached by 4 nuts, which are right here, back there, here, and here on 4 bolts, and once you get this side off, the whole gas tank will fall down. So this is a connection between the gas tank and the inlet, and basically it's just these hose clamps that are on here. And this vehicle is obviously really old, so it's not even very tight. You can just take these off by hand. So this thing moves on here pretty easily back and forth, and I just shoved it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these bolts apart. So once I got these loose, I put a 15mm deep socket on, and they spin right off, just like that. This is the left side of the gas tank, and there is a shroud here, a heat shroud, a heat shield, to keep the heat from the exhaust pipe from going to the gas tank. And of course one of the attachments for the gas tank is behind that. So I just sort of took this off, and now I'm getting at it with a 14mm wrench, because my deep socket won't fit up in there. So that's just, you know, you always have these things when you're working on something, and you just got to figure out a workaround, and that's what I'm doing right now. So you can see that I have all the bolts that hold the straps disconnected, and now all I got to do is let it down and see where the gas hoses are connected to. Real slowly. Let that baby down. If you look up in here, you'll see that those hoses are extremely professionally attached. They have those crimp locks on them. There they are. But on the other side of that beam, they're not so professionally attached. So I'm going to go over there and take those little hose clamps off over there and take this baby all the way off. These hoses from the gas tank come out over here. One's just plain old cut off. One I ripped off. This is the one for the generator. And this is the main hose for the engine. This is the gas tank. It is significantly bigger than I thought it was. First thing I'm going to do is take a rag and stuff it in here so nothing gets in there, and so that the gas doesn't spill out. And then I'm going to find somewhere to store this thing that's not in the rain and not anywhere close to where I'm going to do the welding. This is the situation I got. I need to weld right up in there. But I got this big piece of metal here that's kind of in the way. So I'm going to cut this down, this piece off right here, and that way I can get a good weld right up in there. I have successfully ground down that plate there, and then brushed it on both sides, and it's ready to weld. There was a bit of a gap there that I had to fight with, but I finally got that ground down. I also jacked up this right here like that, and the back right there. And I think it's all pretty much level, and I'm going to test it a few more times, and then I'm going to have a welder guy come out and weld that up right there. So I think we're ready to go. So it's a few days later and I wanted to show you how it all turned out. The welder I found on Craigslist did a great job. Here is this side. And here is this side. This side's a bit more messy, but a vertical weld is one of the hardest things to do, and you can see there actually the metal started to drip down. But if I had done this, this would be a complete mess. If you're a welder, that's awesome. I want to learn how to weld. This project inspired me to do that, but I haven't learned yet. I didn't videotape how to put this gas tank back on, but I can just tell you, basically it's a huge pain in the butt because you got to get a board underneath here and a jack underneath it, jack it all up, and remember to do everything in the right order. But if you got it off, it basically goes on in an exact opposite order. I just put that little thing back on there and reattached the hose up there, put these 4 bolts on. This one bolt up here was simply too long, so I cut the end of it off with the nut on it already, filed it down, then turn that nut off. That's a way to do that. You don't want to cut it off without the nut on. So then I could use my deep socket on there. In the end, if you look at this back bumper, it's really not much higher. So I didn't really raise it, I just stabilized it. I tried to jack this up as much as I could, but in the end I just couldn't get there. And when I took the jacks out, it basically went back down again. I thought about at some point I could possibly cut this off right here and then raise the bumper up, and that'll make it look higher even if it's not. And of course I want to put some caulk down in here to fill that gap up. But in the end, it's an old camper. It's like 36 years old or something, and it's stabilized and I can take it down the road and enjoy it with my family, and that's what's awesome right now. I'm going to be doing some more videos on this thing. I've been fixing it up a lot. If you have an old camper, you're going to be fixing it. And I just want to share a little bit about the joy we have in this as a family, but also how I've been fixing it up to share what I've been learning and share my experience with you. So if you like this, check back again or subscribe and you'll notice when I post another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.